Trump voters are like, no, we have to trust the government. Really? Was that the lesson of the first Trump term? We have to trust the government? Was it really? When the government, his own federal agencies, tried to send Trump and his kids to prison for the rest of their lives with the Russiagate hoax, was that actually the lesson there? And then you have January 6th, the false flag of January 6th. And then 2 years later, you have armed FBI agents in his wife's underwear drawer. And they're there because we really believe Trump may have violated the Espionage Act. No one believed Trump violated the Espionage Act. You have to be a moron. No sane person thought that. But they did it anyway. No one's ever punished for that. So the people telling you to trust the government, you probably shouldn't trust. And it's always the same people. It's kind of funny. they don't want any disclosure. The funniest is all the people who are telling you have to hate Muslims. Oh, hate the Muslims. Ben Shapiro or Mark Levin, hate Muslims. Why aren't those same people calling for full disclosure of the 9/11 documents? It's kind of weird, isn't it? If you really wanted to prove that Muslims are bad, you would want all the 9/11 documents disclosed, wouldn't you? Just so you could sort of play out the horrifying details that led to those fabled 19 Arabs with box cutters committing the biggest act of terror in American history. Why would you ever want to keep any of that secret? Has Mark Levin ever called for the full disclosure of the 9/11 docs? Shut up, conspiracy theorist. Well, why wouldn't you? That would kind of make your case the Muslims are bad, wouldn't it? And just put a nail in the coffin of all the jihadis in America. Is Ben Shapiro on that? Well, shut up, conspiracy theorist. So just keep in mind when people tell you, trust the government, maybe there's another agenda there. I mean, here are two facts you should know. I'm not trying to sow paranoia or anything like that. But there are National Guard units in the United States, in various states, that are actively recruiting right now the children of illegal aliens. Why would you do that? The National Guard exists for a number of purposes, but one of them is to keep order in the United States. So you're intentionally recruiting people with no ties whatsoever to the United States and giving them the power to shoot your fellow Americans as long as the government declares it an emergency? What? Is that really the group you'd be targeting? The children of illegal aliens? So here to end are the three potential options for stopping the chaos in Minnesota. And there may be others, but these are the three that come immediately to mind for the Trump administration. Clearly, state officials in Minnesota have a vested interest, as explained, to increase the chaos, to increase the casualties, to increase the destruction. Their city burns. It's a win for them. Their protesters die. It's a win for them. Those are all martyrs. Their holy names will never be forgotten. Like, they want this, obviously. So what does the administration do to end the chaos? Well, three things, potentially. The first is kind of keep doing what they're doing, but more so. So invoke the Insurrection Act. You're hearing a lot. We just invoke the Insurrection Act. That'll fix it. It's been invoked a lot. Yeah, it certainly has in American history. What would that mean? Well, it'd mean sending more troops there. I think over 3,000, maybe 3,500 federal troops in Minneapolis and area right now. It's a lot. Not working. You could invoke the Insurrection Act. That would sound scary. Would it change the actual conditions on the ground? Maybe. If you sent enough of them. You sent the 101st Airborne, like Eisenhower did at Central High School in Little Rock, 1956. Maybe that would work. But you'd have to send a lot, and you'd have to take a pretty no-nonsense posture. And what are the chances people get killed? Very high. But you could try it. And then you would have to kind of deal with the aftermath, but maybe it would be worth it. Two, you could, and this makes some sense too, you could target the people in charge of this rather than their foot soldiers. Because if you think about it for a second, punishing the human waves that have been mobilized by the attorney general, the governor, the mayor, and the lieutenant governor probably isn't the right way. When you have war crimes tribunals, you don't put infantrymen on trial. You put their commanding officers on trial. Who gave the order to do this? They're the culpable party, of course. So you could arrest the governor, the lieutenant governor, the mayor, and the attorney general, and you would have grounds to do that, ample grounds to do that. The lieutenant governor has been coordinating, according to the ICE signal chat, apparently, has been coordinating attacks on federal officers. If that is indeed her, if the alias on the signal chat is Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and it looks like it is, she's a conspirator in this, in an insurrection. You could arrest her. They could arrest the governor on the same grounds. They could arrest the attorney general. They could arrest the mayor. And that's a possibility. So go after the people who are fomenting chaos, not just their agents, not the kind of sad pasty face tattoos on the neck people, but the actual generals in this war. And it is war. The downside would be, what then? There's no jury in the state that's going to convict them. No one who goes after the Trump administration, almost nobody, or their agents is ever convicted. We have jury nullification. It's the law of the land, basically, in all blue states. And the third possibility is that you quarantine Minnesota effectively. You say, okay, you want to live with Somali fraudsters, foreign-born murderers, tons of child molesters, people convicted of child rape, and you want to call them folks and your neighbors, and you want to pay for their lives. Go ahead, but we're not paying for it. The U.S. government, federal tax funds are not going to be used to pay for child molesters and murderers to get food stamps, housing vouchers, Medicaid, whatever. We're cutting you off. And you want to live like an autonomous zone? Be one. Pay for it yourself. And that might be very effective because in the end, money is power, and people like Fry and Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy and the black separatist attorney general, they want the money. So that might bring them to heel. And it would be completely fair. And you could tell the public, look, I'm against any kind of violence. This is clearly going to cause more violence. We're going to pull back any federal officers there. They can police their own state, and we'll see how long they last. We're gonna have a financial siege of Minnesota. Just cut off the money. Good luck. The problem, of course, is that you will immediately find a federal judge who says, as they always do when the Trump administration does something, you can't do that. And so for it to work, you'd have to say, well, we're ignoring the federal order. So at almost any turn, and this is why it's a pretty clever and diabolical trap that these Democratic politicians have laid, at almost any turn, the Trump administration is, unless you can think of something else, likely to have to say, I'm sorry, we can't go along with this. We know these are the pre-existing rules, but no. How about no? We're going to get to that place. Or what is obviously their intent, this color revolution, which will hurt a lot of people, destroy a lot of property, and change the country forever. Obviously, that's going to play out. What will happen? Praying for peace, as always, praying for an end to chaos, but unknown. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.